Hi everybody, thanks for the amazing comments on the two segments we've done on the balanced catamarans and what I've found over the last 3 years. It's been fun replying and seeing what everybody's come up with. Let's dive into my next little sector and what I think is going to make a perfect boat for circumnavigating and for being out in the open ocean. Now, so back in 2010, when the very first yacht was built in the Nexus factory, the idea was to build a true blue ocean-going yacht which was capable of doing circumnavigations, capable of carrying a good payload, and also carrying all the toys needed when you wanted to go on an expedition or to go and explore. So I was involved in the delivery of the boat to Grenada in the early days, and that's actually where the idea was born for myself and John and Kerry and obviously friends to join us and for us to do a circumnavigation on a new boat. And so the planning began for the production of Lyra Noah. Unfortunately, it took a little bit longer than we thought. And obviously, you know the story because I've documented it. So yeah, that's where the idea was born. And originally, the idea was to put an unbelievable boat together, something that was rigged well, that could do all the stuff we wanted to do, and that sailed well, and that could carry payload. So the boat was set up for true adventure sailing and the open ocean, and especially for doing activities, fishing, etc., etc. But the real test would come in the actual sailing of the boat and how well she would sail shorthanded. And we were given that exact opportunity when Kerry returned to South Africa and COVID. The Omicron variant of COVID was discovered, and I was left in the Cape Verdes on my own. I had a month and a half to sail, where I sailed over 1,000 miles around the Cape Verdes on my own from island to island, and it gave me a chance to really put this boat to the test. This is freaking nuts, man. Really nervous sailing in this stuff. If anything goes wrong here, I'm in deep trouble. So you can see we've come in behind Santa Lucia. The wind's dropped a bit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start the motors, get this jib down, and I'm gonna put another reef into the main. This is just too overpowered and very uncomfortable. And to see how manageable she was single-handed. Yeah, it was an incredible test. I was very nervous in the beginning, but I had to work out certain things and just make sure that you understood how to go about things. And at the end of the day, the boat sailed incredibly well, and I think this is the true testament to how well this boat was put together by Jonathan Parman and the guys at the Nexus factory, because to date this is probably the easiest sailing vessel that I've ever sailed on, and probably the easiest sailing vessel that's been built and come out of the factory. Obviously she's bigger, so she has more capacity for ropes and stuff up front in the helm, which is difficult in the smaller vessels. But yeah, this ideally is the way that I would love to have a boat set up, exactly as this one was, with a few tweaks as far as the winches and so on, and furling gear on your head sails. Pull up this topping lift as well. With everything coming back to the helm and having a self-taking jib with electric furler, I could control the entire boat from the helm and the cockpit, and there was no need for me to leave the helm at all to do anything on the boat, except for when reefing and having to hook up the reefing cringles. It was such a simple boat to sail. So now I'm going to drop the main a bit. Get it unlocked. Now how much you going to see of this? Just looking to see where there's the cringle coming down now. And this is where my my gripe with the boats that are being made now. These days, the boats are being marketed to such an extent that they've almost become floating villas. They're almost retirement condos, and the guys that are sailing them are obviously wealthy. And the boats are being built basically to spend time in the tropics, in the easy areas, a lot of it in the Bahamas and in the Caribbean. It's not like they're actually going full-blown sailing, which makes you wonder why all this push for speed and carbon and all this stuff, when really that stuff's not necessary, and that stuff's not even going to be utilized. You can see on all the videos of on the YouTube videos or videos that you see of guys in storms, the guys have always got the brakes on. They reef, they're slowing the boats down. They're not even reaching their potential because of the noise and the discomfort that comes with sailing these boats if you go fast in strong winds. Yeah, it almost defeats the whole object of the exercise by going for carbon and dagger boards and all these high-tech solutions, when really, if you're cruising, you don't require that. And I suppose there's a market for all of this, and that's why the guys market it. There's people buying these boats, but really, is it necessary? When you look at these boats, they basically way overspec'd for the use and for the intended use, put it that way. It's almost like the designers and the marketers have stepped right over the line into this high-tech side, where there's all these beautiful furnishings and lavish fitments and lots of little extras. I see Versa helms now and dual Versa helms on boats, on their HHs, and all sorts of gadgets and stuff, and all these high-tech sailing machines that are being sailed by a crew of 4 people. I mean, these boats are super difficult to sail if you're 2 up. And we've seen some of the hassles that Ruby Rose and Le Vagabond have gone through with the new boats, the big learning curve and the complete change. It makes me wonder what they're going to be like when you get into a really proper storm and you've got some weather from the front, and how well these boats will actually handle those kind of conditions. And that's why my feeling is that, looking at Lyra Noah, I think she was designed to be sailed from the single upper helm is the way to go, because everything comes back to the helm. We had a electric furler on the self-tacking jib, and the only things that I would do, definitely go for an electric furler on the Code Zero and on the asymmetric. That'll make things a hell of a lot easier. You can have an extra button on the winches down at the rear winches, or you can even have a remote that controls your front furling winch. And that way you can stand at the winch in the rear and guide your sheet line while you furling the Code or the spinnaker or asymmetric spinnaker. And that way you won't have to go and wake somebody up, in the middle of the night. If there's a problem that popped up and you wanted to get the sail away, one person could do it really easily, and there's no problem. Those are the kind of things that I'd be looking at, rather than looking at in-boom furling. The old system of keeping it simple works really well, and the standard boom arrangements with your sails, your mainsail, has worked for years. Yeah, in-boom furling has its advantages and disadvantages, and it's pretty expensive. I'd way rather spend that money on having furling systems on my headsails than go for the in-boom system and keep it as simple as possible. So that pretty much concludes what I would regard as a perfect setup on one of these boats for a ocean crossing. I've been asked a few questions with regards to electronics. Yeah, having worked with all the different manufacturers throughout my sailing career and on the commercial side, I'm definitely super impressed with the new B&G systems. They're actually got so much information, it's incredible, and you actually have to dumb them down a bit because it's almost an overload. But yeah, these systems are unbelievable, and the amount of information they've got on them and technology is incredible. I would just be very careful on the Wi-Fi side when working with Wi-Fi connections. After our experiences with Lightning, I've no idea how these systems would respond to that kind of interference. Yeah, technology is advancing so much these days, but it may well be worthwhile having these plug and play and hardwired so that your components are connected directly. Apart from that, that's about it, guys. I've got some good news, and that is that Lyra Noah has now been bought by a guy by the name of Fraser. She's been renamed. Her name is now Awatia. And she's going to be used for charter in the Pacific. She's in Fort Lauderdale being refitted. But the good news is that she's been sold to a full-blown adventurer, somebody who's in surfing, fishing, diving, exploring. So yeah, it's been sold to somebody who's going to use her to her full capabilities, and I'm super stoked about that. As sad as it is to have said goodbye to her, I'm so happy that she's found a new owner that's going to use her and put her through her paces and do the stuff that she was designed to do. So that's about it for the sailing side for a while. I'll put a link in the description below. That's a link to their Instagram page. They're still busy doing a website, so look out for that. And as we disappear into the distance and wave Lara no goodbye, that's about it for this week. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you next week with some more J-Bay news. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now, guys.